guys, it's Arlessa coming at you with another video. And guys, in this video, I'm going to be touching base on Mercury in retrograde. So I did a video about 1.5 years ago, probably, about Mercury in retrograde. So I'm just going to do a new updated one because we are in Mercury retrograde. Mercury went into retrograde on December 28th, and it will remain in retrograde until January 18th. So we have the shadow phase, the pre-shadow phase, we have the post-shadow phase, and then you have the whole time that it's in retrograde. So I did want to highlight that the reason I want to put this video out is to help educate based on, what I know with my own knowledge, as well as say, hey guys, Mercury in retrograde seems to have a really bad rep. And I think that some of it I do blame on, certain things that are put out into the world, and like the woke and spiritual community kind of is like, pushing maybe the fact that Mercury retrograde, disturbs a lot of your peace, and which I guess isn't necessarily false, right? But it's not necessarily true either, right? So I think that one of the big myths that are going on about Mercury retrograde, and that a lot of people are really attaching themselves to and really believing, and so if you believe, then it's, you're going to put it in motion. Right? So I think a lot of things that are going on here is that people are like, oh my God, Mercury's in retrograde. My life is going to be crap. All the chaos is going to come. People think that Mercury retrograde, this planet, just says, hey, I'm in retrograde, so here's all this crappy crap that you have to deal with. That's not how it works, guys. That ain't it at all. In fact, Mercury is the planet of communication. So if we look at everything in everyday life, we work and thrive and operate on communication, right? You have to be able to talk to people. You have to be able to speak your truth. You have to be able to communicate for work, anything you're doing our life is full of communication, right? Digital communication, verbal communication, technology is all about connecting us, and communication and news and all these things, right? So guys, it's a big deal. And the reason it kind of has like this, label on it as causing havoc is because it creates resistance kind of in your communication with others, and it kind of forces you to look at how to better communicate and how to better approach situations. It also forces you to take a look at your own emotional intelligence behind either your lack of communication or someone else's, right? It also brings up things that are already within you that need to be healed, need to be confronted, need to be looked at, need to be identified. Maybe there's something that you pushed down deep a long time ago when trauma happens. Now, I do want to highlight, a trauma can be anything. A trauma is what happens to your nervous system when you're impacted in a certain situation a certain way, right? So it can be anything. And so, we like to push that kind of stuff down deep, and the thing about that is the more we refuse to confront the things that we have pushed down, we allow them to have space in our life presently, and we don't even realize it. We think pushing it down is pushing it away. Pushing it down is pushing it further into us. Isn't that crazy how that works? And so in order for us to get that out, we have to release. We have to be really honest about things to ourselves, about the choices we've made, the ways that we communicate with others, our own emotional intelligence, our own emotional triggers, because Mercury retrograde is going to bring those emotional triggers out because it's triggering traumas that you have released that are supposed to better yourself. So guys, in reality, Mercury retrograde isn't even like doing anything to you. It's not. It's facilitating and working for you. It's facilitating an opportunity for you to look at what you need to release so that you can step into your full potential, right? And here's the deal. Each planet, it has its own, metaphysical properties and energies that it brings and stuff. So Mercury being in retrograde, Mercury is just one planet. Mercury is just one aspect of this whole human experience. And a lot of, depending on what you think on an energetic level. So it teaches us, Mercury in retrograde, Mercury teaches us to be more mindful about the ways that we handle other people and we handle ourselves, as well as how we put our truth out there. How we walk in our truth, and how we see ourselves moving forward as empowered or disempowered when it comes to what kind of emotions and things that are coming up for us to take a look at, right? Mercury also has been known, has a bad rep for, bringing exes back around and things like that. So I did want to say that is true, but not true, right? If you have a lot of unhealed wounds that are attached to somebody, an ex or whatever, then that will come up for you to heal and to move through. So it's not necessarily particular with what it brings up or energetically what it kind of causes for us to, have to kind of move through, right? It doesn't do that at all. In fact, it just shines light on what's already within us, what we're already sitting in, what we already have allowed to remain with us. All it's doing is pulling it out and saying, hey, take a look at this, right? And then, what you choose to do with that, it's going to be on you. I think it's interesting because people will be like, I don't need to let go of anything. This is just, and they stay in that chaos because it's so familiar, and it's easy to blame that chaos on something else aside from maybe the work that you haven't done yet for yourself, right? I mean, it's also about not only just being honest with yourself, but also having that awareness to be able to step into clarity in situations so that you're not seeing things the way that you choose to see them, aside from seeing them and as they are in reality, in real time, right? So it's interesting because I will say the shadow phases kind of work a little bit more intensely for you, because it's kind of prepping and it's really starting to locate. It's like a locate. The shadow phases of Mercury retrograde kind of remind me of it's like the locator. You send out like a scout. It's sending out a scout to find and locate what you need to heal within you. What emotion do you need to bring out? What do you need to do to be able to step into your full potential, right? And so starts to pick and choose. Okay, we're gonna pull this out. Okay, it's gonna pull this out, and then it starts to pull it out, and then it's like, oh my God, roller coaster city, emotions, everything's crazy. So then people don't want to deal with it because people don't want to feel what they tried to avoid feeling in the first place. But the catch-22 is that you have to feel it to release it, or it's just forever gonna be there with you. Oh man, it's just so crazy to me, looking back even myself in the past and the different things that I would try to avoid. And it's just like, you can only avoid it for so long, guys. You can only avoid your truth and the reality of things and the ways that things and people and situations make you feel, and the things that you've experienced that have really hindered you. You can only push them down for so long. We never clear ourselves of having to deal with something. And you may think you have because you pushed it down and you disguised it really, really good. It's going to come up. But it's going to come up at a time where it forces you to recognize it more. It's a more intense and a harsher experience each time that you choose to ignore what you're being shown. That's going to help you step into your full potential, guys. Each time the lessons get harder and harder and harder, because until you see what it is you're supposed to see so that you can better yourself and better your life and step into your own power, it's going to get loud. The lessons will get louder and louder and more intense and more emotional, because it's pushing you to see more clearly in what you should be doing to step into your best self, the best version of you. This is the goal. This is what we're supposed to be doing here. Why are we here on Earth? Well, I don't know, but I know that we're not supposed to be going backwards, right? We're supposed to be going forwards. So take control of your own life. Mercury retrograde, this is the time. This is the time. You want to do some shadow work? Now's the time. Get in there and get dirty and just say, you know what? I'm going to walk out with mud all over me from trenching through it. But you know what? That mud will wash off. And then what's going to be underneath is something even more beautiful than it was before. Because you're stepping into your light and you're being brave. And you're looking at what it is that you can change in your life. And what it is that you can do to better yourself and create more happiness and joy. Because you're releasing the things that held you back and didn't allow you to feel the joy and facilitate that happiness. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to say about the Mercury retrograde. I could go into a lot of details. I think I said enough. I have another video, so you can reference that if you would like. I don't know if it's in the reels, but I know that it's in a video that I have posted, and it's on both my pages, my personal as well as my Arlessa clairvoyant, intuitive guide. So guys, I hope I highlighted a few things for you to just start to think about, right? Start to think about. Mercury retrograde is not doing anything to you. It is doing all the things for you. You just have to be able to see it that way instead of putting yourself in that victim mentality. I am having to go through this because a planet is in a retrograde motion. Like, do you see that? Blame, this is when the full moon is happening and everybody's like, oh, it's the full moon, I'm acting crazy. No, the full moon, same thing. The energy just pulls certain things to the surface. Nothing is doing anything to you, right? It's doing it for you. And I think that it's really hard to think about and accept that could be the case, because people want to be like, why is this happening to me? Why am I feeling this way? Ew, ew, ew. Can't wait for Mercury retrograde. Mercury to be out of retrograde. Oh my God, I can't take it. Well, guess what? If you don't deal with it, the next Mercury retrograde, it's going to be even stronger. So you're going to have to toughen up and do it, guys. Man, being really honest with ourselves and seeing where we could do better and where we could be better, not only to and for ourselves, but to and for other people, is a really empowering place to be. So let Mercury retrograde shine light on how you can step into that energy and not feel so miserable. Okay? There's always something to learn through whatever we're going through. So let that happen. Let that light just